Buckeye Nation, what's poppin'? Crazy Dog coming at you on the Buckin' Crazy YouTube channel with my third Buckeyes official visit weekend recap of the month. Of course, this was our third of four major official visit weekends. Of course, so far you look at who the Buckeyes have had in town for the first three. And yeah, we've had some pretty big names in town. Starting on May 30th, of course, they had five-star offensive lineman Felix Ojo, five-star running back Savion Hyder, five-star linebacker Xavier Griffin. He had a couple dog edge rushers in four-star edge Jake Creel and four-star edge Luke Wafel. He also had some other really good players in town. Of course, we got a commitment from four-star defensive lineman Kerry Wilder about a week ago, actually. Yeah, right after Favor Key committed. Yeah. So it took him a little extra time, but yeah, Kerry Wilder did eventually commit to Ohio State. Now, of course, we are still waiting on three-star offensive tackle Aaron Thomas's decision. He has been crystal balled to Ohio State a couple times, most notably by, of course, the Fong man himself, Steve Wiltfong. He dropped a crystal ball on June 1st. And then a little while later, the two Ohio State writers for On3, Alex Gleitman and Mick Walker, both dropped crystal balls for Aaron Thomas to Ohio State. So the expectation is he will be a Buckeye, and it's only a matter of time, right? I'm sure it'll be happening sooner rather than later. But we'll see, though. We'll see. And getting back to the list, of course, talking about last week, June 6th, they only had 3 kids in town. And of course, we once again got a commitment from four-star running back Favor Aki shortly after his visit concluded. And then they also got crystal balled for Drew Evers, four-star offensive lineman out of Texas. And of course, the crystal ball was dropped by, once again, none other than the Fong man himself, Steve Wiltfong, who dropped said crystal ball on June 9th. That's the only crystal ball that he's received thus far. Again, we'll see what happens there. And then on June 11th, they had a visit from five-star offensive lineman Darius Gray, which, I heard it was a great visit, but not really liking our chances there. But again, we'll see. One thing I've learned, never doubt Coach Bowen. Then they had a couple international kids in town. Adrian Beccabelli, I believe from Sweden, three-star defensive lineman. And then Musa Bajaha? Okay. He's not starred, like he has no rating. And apparently Florida is the favorite for him. Okay. He's from PPI Recruits in Düsseldorf, in Germany. Interesting. And then we look at this past weekend. And boy, they had some big names. Of course, four-star edge rusher Carter Meadows from Washington, D.C. And as you know, with Larry Johnson, he specializes in recruiting the DMV area. So, I'm not going to say like Carter's a shoo-in to be a Buckeye because currently we're not favored to land him. According to the RPM machine on On3, it says Penn State is the favorite at 31%. But again, it's just RPMs, and we'll see how things go throughout the next week or so. Now, the next two guys are Buckeye favorites at this point. In four-star linebacker slash edge rusher Sincere Johnson from noted Ohio State Pipeline School, Cleveland Glenville. He's committing this Thursday, and the expectation is he will be a Buckeye. And why do I say that? Well, it's simple. He has received multiple crystal balls for him to commit to Ohio State. Yep. both Ohio State writers, as well as Steve Wiltfong, and even co-publisher / recruiting editor Josh McCuistion put in a crystal ball. Don't see that too often now, do you? Right? Someone other than the phone man and the two writers for Ohio State put in a crystal ball for you. It's serious. Yep. Now they were placed back in like earlier, about a month or so ago. Mick put his in back on January 30th. And Steve and Alex put theirs in last year. So essentially, he's been a Buckeye for over a year now, which is crazy. But yeah, I think he'll be a Buckeye when it's all said and done on Thursday. And the way I see it, if he is going to live stream his commitment on one of them recruiting sites, I'll probably do a live reaction to it. Just to see the moment that he commits, you know. Now, looking at the other names, of course, you had another top Buckeye target in 4-star defensive lineman PJ Dean, who also plays offensive line. But again, much like with Sincere, it sounds like he will be a Buckeye. Now, he's only had one crystal ball placed for him, and that, of course, was from none other than Steve Wiltfong, who placed the crystal ball for Ohio State all the way back in April. Now, let me actually take a look and see if he's done with visits. Pretty sure he is. I'm like 95% sure. Yep, he is done with visits. Yeah, he had 3 official visits, according to On3, South Carolina, Georgia, and then Ohio State. So if that is truly it for his official visits, I think a decision could come relatively soon. That's all up to him. That's one thing a lot of these people on Twitter need to understand, right? I know we're pissed at Hayes Fawcett for essentially blue balling us, right? Saying we got 2 commits coming and then nothing so far. Well, you got to remember, it's not up to Hayes, it's up to the kids. So when the kids commit, he'll drop them. And then we'll celebrate. So we'll see what happens. They also had 2 other Buckeye commits in offensive linemen Sam Greer and Max Riley. And then you had 4-star corner Danny Odom, 4-star edge rusher Jackson Ford, couple other Ohio State commits, and 4-star linebacker CJ Sana from right up the road and Olentangy. And then a 3-star offensive lineman Tucker Smith. Now, another interesting name that showed up this past weekend was 3-star defensive lineman Jameer Perez, who of course is currently committed to Florida. Now, the interesting thing is, he committed to Florida last month. You look at his crystal balls. Originally, there was one placed by Alex Gleitman back in April for him to go to Ohio State. Well, obviously that didn't happen because on May 18th, seemingly out of nowhere, which this shocked everybody, all of a sudden he gets crystal balled to Florida and then bang, he commits to Florida. And now it sounds like he might be on flip watch back to Ohio State. Or to Ohio State. Which that would be awesome. Now taking a look at some of the recruit photos that I found on social media. The first one, of course, is Sincere Johnson. And I'll just say this. He's damn good in this. It's like a damn girl, right? I mean, going from the red and black at Glenville to the scarlet and gray, it's like a Glenville tar bloodder tradition, right? It fits so freaking well. And you wonder why Glenville is a Ohio State pipeline school. I mean, not only are they coached by the father of legendary Buckeye Ted Ginn Jr., right? Ted Ginn Sr. is their coach. So the colors just go so well together. I mean, it's pretty much the same color scheme. Pretty much. You love to see it. The funniest thing is, Bama and Penn State fans actually think that they have a chance at swaying him away from Ohio State. Like, if we want him, we're going to get him, whether you like it or not. And the way I see it, unless something crazy happens, unless we straight up look him in the eyes and say, yeah, we don't need you. You can go elsewhere. I think he'll be a Buckeye on Thursday. Yep. Now, let's take a look at another one. This is 4-star edge rusher Carter Meadows from Washington, D.C. And I will say, much like Sincere, looks good in the scarlet and gray. And of course, so you got to look at the background, right? I mean, that backdrop is fantastic. And it's so funny, too, because I look at these other universities doing their official visit scenes and stuff. You notice how a few of them are doing what we did last year with the retro setup? Now, of course, we're the only one that can do this kind of setup with the 2024 National Championship Trophy. Not too many schools can utilize the current National Championship Trophy, right? But we could honestly break out the other one if we really, really wanted to, right? Of course, we could just simply go to these kids and say, hey, you want to help us win another? Because the class of 2025 is going to help us try to repeat. You guys can come in and try to help us three-peat. Man, if a coach walked up to me and said that, I'd be like, ooh, that's a damn good sell. Right? Going in there to help them three-peat, be along for the ride. I mean, just think of the class of 2025, right? They essentially got to ride along on that natty run. I mean, damn, bro. Think of the places they got to go. I mean, first off, they got to see the horseshoe at night, which is a rare occurrence these days, as you know. Thanks a lot, Big Noon Kickoff. But yeah, they got to see the shoe in a playoff atmosphere at night. They got to see Ohio State stomp on an SEC team. Tennessee and their kneeling north. Still can't believe they did that. Fall fans were coming out here talking about, we're going to take over the horseshoe. Going to call it kneeling north. And what happened? We freaking buried them in the dirt. Stuffed their face in the dirt. Put our foot up their butt. We kicked them into the Olentangy River. That's funny. And then, of course, they would go to the Rose Bowl to watch us do the same thing to Oregon. Then they went to Jerry World to see us beat Texas. And then they got to see us win a natty up close and personal, firsthand. Oh, yeah. They enjoyed every minute of that. Now, hopefully, the class of 2026 can have that same experience, right? So, if you want to be a part of that, you know where to go, right? It's simple. Now, another one, of course, you have PJ Dean. Look at him sitting there next to that trophy, right? Wow. Every time I see these pictures, it's just like, they really cooked with that backdrop. It's to be one of the best backdrops I've seen, like overall, from any university. What's really cool is when it comes to Ohio State doing these official visit weekends, you get these other universities, putting on these shows with the theatrics, the light show, the music and everything. I mean, I'm sure we do the same thing, but you never really see videos of it. Right? You don't see our guys dancing around, acting all freaking wonky. Of course, Texas bringing out the Lambos again. You got Texas A&M literally bringing out live breathing goats. Goats? Huh? Goats? Oh man, that's funny. Meanwhile, all we gotta do, bring out the trophy. Right? Ohio State literally sells itself, recruits itself. Like all you gotta do is bring out the trophy and these kids just get all mesmerized by it, right? Because they want one. That's one of their dreams. I mean, as a college athlete in football, you really should have what, 3 or 4 goals in life? As a football player, obviously, go D1. That's the big one, right? After that, win a natty, of course. Then make it to the league. We can do that for you. And also, depending on your family's situation, get them out the hood or, get them out the trenches, as they say, right? Make money. Some people even say retire their parents, right? Reward them for their hard work for helping you get to where you are. You tell them to their face, you don't got to work anymore because I got us, right? You helped me get to this spot. So I'm going to help you by telling you, you don't got to work again. I got it. We good. I'm going to get you out this freaking horrible ass neighborhood, right? Put you in a nice house with a nice car that gets you places, right? That's really any college, high school football player's dream, really. It's mainly, though, obviously, go D1, make the league, and make a lot of money. Yeah. Now, of course, when you get to the league, win a Super Bowl. That's obviously up there. But yeah, pretty good weekend from what I've heard. Nothing but positive things. Of course, it's really rare that you hear about a kid having a bad experience. You don't really hear that too often, right? So we'll see if any crystal balls drop, and we'll see if Ohio State gets any commitments soon. In fact, while I'm live, let's take a look and see if we get any kids. Let's see if we got any crystal balls. Doesn't seem like it. Nope, not right now. Of course, if Ohio State does get any crystal balls, you already know, I'll be right here to go over it, right? Talk about it. And of course, if we get any booms, I'll definitely be here to talk about it. Now, speaking of booms, let's go over my boom watch list. So, of course, I grouped it between players who have already visited that I have on Boom Watch and players who are coming to town this week for the final official visit weekend, I believe, of the summer, but definitely of the month. And these are 2 guys that I think could commit soon. Of course, Braylon Womack doesn't commit until August, but I think he'll be a Buckeye. Ohio State is going heavy after him. And of course, you have Deuce Geralds, who will be in town this week, so that'll be fun. Right? I can't wait for that. That's for sure. Now, of the players who already visited, of course, now, what does it take to be on a Boom Watch list for me? Well, you had to have received at least 1 crystal ball from a prominent person on On3, which obviously all these guys have. Even if they're like over a year old, they did receive a crystal ball, right? So we'll see what happens. I would laugh so hard if I freaking ended this video, got it uploaded, and boom, commitment. That would be so funny. Like, what if I check this freaking visit list and I see committed to Ohio State today? I would lose my mind. I would lose my mind. But of course, you look at the upcoming list Now, I'll go over this in depth on Friday, heading into the weekend. But of course, you have multiple 5-stars in town, and most of the current class of 2026 will be in town. Of course, 5-star receiver Chris Henry Jr. and his teammate, 4-star receiver Caden Dixon Wyatt, will be in town. 5-star safety Blaine Bradford will be in town. And you know damn well Blaine is going to be trying his hardest to recruit Braylon Womack and say, yo, you need to get over here, bro. You need to be a Buckeye, damn it. Enough of these games. You know where to go, fool. Tell Auburn to suck it, bro. Come over here to freaking... come over here to Columbus. Help us try to win another natty, though. And, of course, you have Derek Cooper, 4-star running back. I think he's one of the top 2 targets at running back for Ohio State, up there with Savion Hyder. They're looking for another running back to pair with Favor Aki. I think it'll either be Savion or Derek Cooper. Then you have some other big names, like, of course, 4-star D lineman Deuce Geralds. He'll be in town. 4-star safety Simeon Caldwell. He already committed back in April. Obviously, he's locked in. 4-star edge rusher Landon Barnes will be in town. Then you have some offensive linemen like J.B. Shabazz will be in town, as well as Dewan Parks. And you have defensive lineman Damari Simeon from New Jersey, Egg Harbor Township, St. Augustine Prep. Another Jersey kid, huh? Okay, Jordan Thomas, you know what to do. You know exactly what to do, right? Because Ohio State is really starting to get a foothold in the New Jersey area, especially recently, just like California and Florida and Texas. We got a damn foothold almost every part of the freaking country. That's what happens when you're like Ohio State, right? You're a powerhouse. Kids gravitate to you. You can have a kid who is straight up 100% committed elsewhere, but Ohio State offers them. They can't help but go, oh. Well, I know I'm 100% committed, but I got to give them a chance. Right? Happens all the time around the country. But yeah, so this will be a very fun weekend ahead. We'll see if any commitments happen. Of course, if they do, I'll be right here, as always. Now, if you're wondering about in-season visits, On3 currently has 1 listed for Ohio State for week 1 against Texas as 5-star edge rusher Richard Wesley. Yeah, the same kid who jumped in a pool with Dan Lanning and then decommitted shortly after, about 17 days later. He'll be in town. And I saw on 247 that apparently another defensive lineman, Valdin Sone, will be in town too. We'll see what happens there. But that's really all I got. So we'll see if any other names are added throughout the week. And we'll see if any recruits pop off and commit to Ohio State. So if anything happens, I'll be here. But with that being said, if nothing happens between now and Thursday when Sincere Johnson commits, you already know I'll be right here, possibly going live. But if anything, I'll just do a video talking about his commitment, which we assume will be Ohio State unless something crazy happens, which you never know with recruiting these days, right? You never, ever know. So with that being said, again, you look at the Boom Watch list, and we'll see what happens, right? I'm expecting fireworks soon. Because I swear to God, if nothing happens this week, this dude Hayes Fawcett really blue-balled us to oblivion with those tweets. Talking about we have commitments happening soon. Bishware. But yeah, guys, I'm Crazy Dog coming at you on the Buckin' Crazy YouTube channel. Let's go, Buckeyes. OH. I'm out. Bye-bye.